Hello everybody, I'm Nate Shimony and I'm hoping to teach you something you didn't know about gang history in the United States right now. First off, I want to thank my audience for coming out. Alright, thank you everybody. So gang history really began after the American Revolution in the United States. It began by immigrants coming into the United States and settling to make money or live a better life. They faced a lot of racial problems, and that's what really formed them into what they are today. A look at gang history geography really begins east to west. So think of it as New York to Chicago to Los Angeles. That's kind of the progression over the years in gang activity and history. It really became prominent in New York, and gangs are separated by their ethnicity, and this is where Los Angeles really became prominent in how gangs are today. It all began with the Hispanic immigrants, and they really formed together because of this racism towards them. They acted in criminal actions to make money or protect a street or province that they were living in at the time. The gang that the Hispanics really started was the Latin Kings, and they were the first gang to really act out with burglaries, Grand Theft Auto, and stuff like that. And this really helped form gangs for the rest of history. Later on, the African American gangs began to become prominent. The first African American gang was the Crips, and they became so powerful. They had over 15,000 members, whether they were in prison or on the streets, that people that disagreed with the Crips, they actually had to start another gang, and this is called the Bloods. Both of these gangs like to identify themselves with tattoos all over, graffiti, and they're known for their drug dealing activity. Because of the drug dealing that they did and acted on for a long time, even today, the leaders of these gangs became very wealthy and had a lot of power. So to know them and act with them was very, very a good connection at that time. To be initiated into these African American gangs, you had to fight a member of the gang, or you had to commit a crime like a rape or a robbery and prove that you were manly enough to be in that gang. Another gang that formed in the Los Angeles area was the white gang called the Skinheads. The Skinheads actually began as a motorcycle gang, and what they did is they would go to an establishment and they would rob it with baseball bats, steel-toed shoes, hammers, all that kind of stuff, and they would just take them out, and I found that really interesting. I got that information from web.stanford.edu. Next, you're looking at the Asian gangs. The Asian gangs were, I would say, they had some aspects of a white gang and an African American gang. They dealt in a lot of Grand Theft Auto, burglary. They didn't deal a lot of the drugs, and they still don't today. Those prominent Cambodian gangs, that's the prominent country immigrants that are involved in gang activity in America. And that statistic I got from Briticana.com. So now we're going to talk about gang activity currently in the United States. Some gang activity currently in the United States is largely based on prison gangs. And a gang always says it's only as powerful as how many people it has in prison. Well, you're like, how does having more people in prison make a gang stronger? People that are in a gang and are in prison use prison to their advantage. So say you're in a gang and you outnumber a person in another gang. You'll hold them hostage, and this will impact the streets. Also, if you have information, you can give that to the authorities about another gang, and they can take care of that gang and take them off the streets, therefore helping out your gang and making your gang more powerful. You're probably like, why did I pick gangs as my topic for my speech? Well, I actually have a story I'd like to give. My dad went to Kettering University in Flint, Michigan. This was the 80s, and at that time, Flint was a top 5 city for murder and gang activity in the United States. My dad witnessed someone getting shot outside of his dorm window, and he doesn't know what gang it was involved in. He doesn't know to this day, but I always found that very interesting. I have some statistics from the nationalgangcenter.com that I would like to share before I go. So there are about 30,000 gangs today in the U.S. and it's slowly rising. That number sounds crazy, but remember, a gang is classified as a group of people from 5 to 200, and it can get way above 200. So that statistic is just the lowest point. Gangs preside in about 41% large cities, 27% smaller cities, 25% suburban, and 7% rural areas. I found that very interesting, just showing how spread out gang activity really is. And gang activity contributes to a lot of criminal activity in areas and cities. The statistic for that really isn't known because it depends on city, it depends on the area, whether you can say a gang was involved or not. It's just iffy on determining that. So I hope I taught you something you didn't know about gangs today. I hope you're more aware of the statistics and stuff you didn't know before. Thank you for watching my speech.